Happy Friday, everybody. I got my dad in the car. He's actually being my chauffeur today. We're on our way to Madison, Wisconsin for a big card show. Madison has a really big monthly card show, and every now and then they do combo shows, which this one is. There's going to be over 200 tables split between sports and TCG. They got 2 separate rooms to do each, and then 1 big shared room in the middle to do kind of a combo. So lots of choices for everyone to pick out what they're looking for, whether it's sports or TCG. And I asked my dad to come along with so that I've got some help watching the table if I need to go grab food or go to the bathroom or something. I've done plenty of shows solo and I can do it, but these bigger shows like this, it's nice to have someone else there to keep an eye on things, or like I said, just give me a quick little break to go do whatever I need to do. So here, say hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
But he just mentioned today is my aunt, his sister's birthday. So happy birthday, Aunt Joe. You're probably never going to see this, but happy birthday anyways. We're just getting on the road. We have not been on the road too long, but we got dumped on, I would guess somewhere around 8 inches of snow was on my driveway this morning when I had to clean out the driveway to get out to work. But it looks like the snow plow crews did a great job clearing up the roads for us here this afternoon. It's about 4 p.m. So the roads aren't looking too bad anymore. We shouldn't have really any slowdowns now, thanks to the road crews getting it clean for us. Just like I did for the Rochester show, I'm gonna do just kind of a sped up video of our drive. This is about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive to get to Madison from our house. But if you guys enjoy my content, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to be notified when new videos are posted. Thanks for watching, guys. Alright guys, a little tour to where the table is set up over in the Pokémon Center. If you come in to the Alliance Center, we got a pretty decent spot. We're kind of in the middle. We're gonna skip on over the first door and right on over here. I guess I went one too soon already, but give you a little view of how big this show is. Still quite a few vendors that haven't made it yet, but it is fully sold out. So we got a great setup. We'll check in later, guys. All right, guys, we are set up, ready to go for the show. Got our cases set up, mostly vintage, or maybe not vintage, but I tried to skew more of the non-current sets in here, more of the current sets in here, and then the couple of slabs that I have. And we got all of our Japanese boxes set up, and then a lot of our cheaper blisters, a little play mat. All right, guys, I dropped the ball again on recording videos during the show, and I think a lot of it is just because I was with my dad, and during all of our slower periods, we had a lot of time that we were just chatting with each other, and I don't know, it just felt weird to him, I think, having the camera around and on every now and then. So I just decided to hold off on the show cameras again and just go through a recap on how the show went, like I did in Rochester. First off, I will say I'm kind of disappointed with how the show went. The cost to be in Madison was about 3 times the cost of going to Rochester, actually a little bit more, because the table fee in Rochester was $60. I didn't have to stay in a hotel, and gas. That's really about it. So all in all, it was probably about $90 total cost to be in Rochester. And to be in Madison, we had a $110 hotel, we had a $100 table fee, and then again gas, and it's a further drive to get to Madison than Rochester. And after I counted up the cash and went through all of the numbers, I essentially had $400 less in revenue in Madison than I did in Rochester. I was constantly busy when I was in Rochester. There's never a down moment. People were always looking at the case. I was constantly handing cards to people to take a look at, selling cards, making deals, whatever. In Madison, there was a lot of downtime, and it started off right away. So from what I gathered from people coming in to buy and other vendors, a lot of people didn't realize there's actually 2 entrances to get into the Alliant Energy Center. So there was a massive backup of vehicles just trying to get into the event, and we didn't have the first person walk by our table to start looking at buying until after 10 a.m. and the doors opened at 9. So pretty disappointing that it took people so long to get in. I would imagine because of the insane line to get in, a lot of people just decided we're not waiting in that and just left. And a large contributor is probably because there was a dog show in one of the other buildings on the Alliant Energy Center facility, and it was a massive dog show, so it wasn't just like, you know, a few cars here and there. There's a ton of people there for the dog show, ton of people trying to get into the card show, and it's all happening roughly the same time in the morning. And I think even though it ended up getting pretty busy, and we did have some busy periods of time, I just can't help but think there's probably a lot of people that just gave up and didn't go into the show. So for the fact of, you know, slow sales, much fewer people walking through, I was a lot more underwhelmed than I thought it was going to be a really busy, awesome, fun show, and I was going to do way more sales than I did in Rochester, and it's just not what happened. And quite frankly, there's a handful of big ticket items that sold for me that really saved the show for me, I think. I know. And if those items hadn't sold, I would be much, much more disappointed than I already am. Anyways, those things that sold, number one, we had a team up full art set of the sleeved booster packs. The vendor next to me actually bought it at the end of the day. He was eyeing it up all day, and about halfway through he said, "Hey, if those don't sell at your sticker price, I want them." Market on the team up packs is, I think, about $320 per pack right now, and I was asking $300 per pack. And at the end of the day, they hadn't sold. We were about half hour from close, and I asked the vendor, "Hey, you still want those?" He said, "Yep, I do. Could you do $275 a pack?" I had a good enough price on them that I just took the offer. I didn't even counter, because at that point I knew I just wanted to make the sale, and I had enough margin on it already anyways that I was fine just taking the offer, moving on. I know those packs have gone way up over the past few months and weeks especially. So I just kind of wanted to make sure I moved on from them in case the hype that's been going through them kind of cools off. And fun fact, the vendor is the general manager of a collectible store called Toy Box Toys in West Bend, Wisconsin. And as we were chatting throughout the day, he said that, "Hey, you know who Danny Phantom is?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of hard to not know who Danny Phantom is if you're in the Pokemon space, especially if you record and are part of the YouTube community as well." And long story short, Toy Box Toys is apparently Danny Phantom's go-to shop for finding cards that he needs to complete his sets. And I just thought that was kind of cool, just chatting with him, that as Danny Phantom is going through, if you guys are unaware, he's trying to master set every single Pokemon set ever made. And this general manager said that he basically collects all the cards that he knows Danny's looking for, and every now and then he'll pop in and make a purchase and say thanks and head on out. So I thought that was kind of an interesting, cool thing. But enough of that. What I wanted to go through were kind of the big ticket items that sold. As I just mentioned, the team up full art set sold at $1,100 for the whole set of 4. I did sell my last 2 boxes of Japanese 151. I intentionally had them priced a little bit high. I think market on them is about $225. I had them stickered at $230, and a guy came to the table who wanted to buy them, and I told him it's 151. You got to pay strong, because he was trying to haggle a little bit, and I said it's 151. I'm probably never going to be able to get more of this at a reasonable price. You got to pay strong if you want them. And then he did take them. He bought them both for $220 a box. So it was good and sad getting rid of those last 2 151 boxes, but you know, you got to churn and burn as fast as you can to grow in this business. And so that was good to get that moving. I did end up selling Mega Dream box as well, maybe a couple of those, and a few other Japanese boxes along the way as well. I actually was able to trade a couple of them towards a booster box of Brilliant Stars. So traded away a few Japanese boxes for English. Usually not able to make those kind of trades, but worked out for me. And then I also traded, I was all out of Battle Partners boxes. Reorder cost right now in Japan just doesn't make sense to reorder more Battle Partners, but I was all out of them. Guy came by the table and wanted to trade a Battle Partners box to me for a Night Wanderer box. So they're relatively close in value. The Night Wanderer is actually not worth quite as much as Battle Partners, but he said, no, I just want to do a straight up trade. So that's what we did. And then the last kind of bigger sealed item that sold was another one of my Pikachu VMAX Premium Collection boxes with Crown Zenith in them. Those things just keep going up and up and up in price, and it seems like people always want them, but sometimes they're just slower to move. I think people just don't like collecting those. Well, I know people just don't like collecting collection boxes as much as they do ETBs, and especially booster boxes and booster bundles. I don't mind that they don't sell because they keep going up in price, but at the same time I do want to just keep moving them as quickly as I can so I can, like I said, churn and burn stuff. Going into the cards, the big cards that sold, I had a 151 War Turtle that sold pretty much right at market. I had an Ends Resolve sell for right at market, and then I had a Leafeon from Terrestrial Festival, the Japanese set of Prismatic. That one sold at full market price as well. Another thing that I was very surprised at, just like in Rochester, when I did sports card vending, we would always know that we'd have to sticker cards a little bit above market price because every single person wants to come and haggle with you. So you just need to know that, all right, if the card is worth, call it $24, you sticker at 25 because they're going to come and offer you 23 or whatever, or 22, and you want to have yourself be able to say yes and just get sales moving. But in Rochester, I was essentially, if a card was a $5.80 card, I'd sticker it at $6. If it was a $7.03 card, it stickered at $7. So I was pretty much trying to sticker it to the nearest whole dollar, whether it's rounding up or rounding down, just to the nearest whole dollar. And I was just shocked by how few people in the Pokemon community, at least so far in these 2 shows I've done, so few of them even make offers. They just see the card they want and they just buy it. Yes, there have been some that have made offers, and I've had to, negotiate a little bit here and there because they were too low. But the fact that so many people just see the card, like the card, buy it, compared to the sports market where it's like they're gonna haggle every time no matter what. Like, no one ever pays sticker price. I feel like I've been pricing things very fair, so I don't feel bad that people aren't haggling, but it's just not what I was expecting. Anyways, that's kind of about it on what I wanted to chat through today. I think it was essentially $2,000 in sales that I got. Well, if you account for some of the things I purchased and spent cash on, it was about $2,400 in revenue, but I did use some of my cash towards buying more ETBs and booster boxes at the show. So I'd say about identical sales to what I had in Rochester. It's just, it didn't feel as good because it was definitely on fewer sales. So each sale was higher, but there's a lot more down periods, and it's a lot more fun when it's constantly busy, constantly moving and grooving. And I'm hoping that the Rochester show in a month is as good as it was the last time, especially because this show I was able to snag one of the very front tables in the entire show. So I'm hoping, being one of the first tables people see, that we have a lot of action going on in that one. One final note, even though I did sell a good amount of sealed products, I was really, really surprised with how few of my sealed items sold this time compared to Rochester. So in Rochester, I had some Mega Charizard X premium collections for sale, and every single one that I brought to the show, I sold. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to bring them again to Madison because I still had some left to sell, and not a single person asked about them. Now, the market on them has gone up slightly, so my sticker was about $10 higher than it was in Rochester, but I was also noticing the other vendors who were selling it, they weren't moving it. And that just seems surprising to me. So I think the market is trying to work through the mass quantity of these boxes that were produced. And even though the market price on TCG Player is still climbing a little bit here and there, it does seem like maybe there's a little bit of a fatigue setting in on that set in particular. I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing something that's not there. But anyways, and then the other thing I noticed is my prismatic boxes. Not a single person asked about them. I had them stickered exactly at market. If people would have made offers, I would have definitely worked with them. But that's another thing I noticed, that everyone who had prismatic, and there weren't many people who had prismatic at all, but the ones who had it, they weren't selling it. So I don't know, prismatic usually sells really well on my website. That's another thing that I'm noticing. It's not selling as well as it previously had. I used to pay a little stronger to get it from collections, knowing that it would sell through quickly, but if it continues to kind of slow down for me, then maybe I need to not pay as strong on it until things start to to rebound a little bit. Anyways, got a little rambly. Didn't really know exactly what I was going to talk through, just kind of shooting from the hip here. But thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content in the future. And just like Brian at Pokémon always says, make sure you head on over to my website, covenantcards.shop, buy my stuff. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. God bless.